Thank you, everyone. I think we've had a great turnout today, and I think a subject that's near and dear to all of us. And Congressman Fincher's office had reached out and asked us if we could get together and just have some discussion, you know, from what the economic environment is like, what business development, job creation. So hopefully we'll have a candid discussion today and get a good feel of where we are.
Again, a good way to start the meeting off. Let me start out by thanking Mayor Hill, good to see you here, the mayors, elected officials, the Chamber of Commerce for allowing and hosting us here today. What a great building and a great group of people out and doing a great job. And when I think about meetings here, I think about good meetings. So I want to keep it that way. So it's good to be back in Dyer County. We've been going around over the last couple of months doing roundtables, business roundtables, discussions, trying to take from what you have and give it to me, hey John, and take it back to Washington. So many times people think that we have the answers, and we don't. The answers come from the private sector, and if we can just take and incorporate them and make common sense decisions in Washington, I think our country will benefit greatly. I'm just going to highlight on a couple of 3 issues, and then I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, concerns, problems. We get into the conversation again of, well, there's not enough money for the roads. Our vehicles now are getting 3 times the mileage they got 25 years ago. So the conversation comes up about raising the gas tax. Oh yeah. Well, I don't raise taxes. And gasoline's $4 a gallon. But our roads are falling apart. I mean, we're going to get to the place to where, I mean, I'm on the road a lot. And Interstate 40 is like NASCAR. It's dangerous. And I'm a fast driver, and it's even dangerous for me. We can't get a highway bill passed right now. A 5-year highway bill with about $300 billion in spending, which is not what it needs to be. But it's certainly, we're tightening up a lot of the agencies that are multiple doing the same things. And it will give the states and local governments some certainty and some dollars to move forward to start repairing and maybe focusing on things like Interstate 69. But we can't, I'm just going to say this. We can't even get it passed through the House. I've got 40 or 50 Republican buddies that won't vote for it. And not because of the money. And this is why things are becoming so complicated. It's not because of the money. I had one of them tell me the other day from Georgia. Judge, he said, this is a state issue. And he said, we need to give all this back to the states. The federal government needs it. We don't even need to be in the highway business. And I said, I agree to some extent, but what about interstate commerce? You know, from state to state. We can't get from point A to point Z in just one piece of legislation. But at the same time, we've got to have infrastructure in this country. Regulation. Every dollar to build a new road, 50 cents of it is regulation. That means we're not going to get any new roads. It's too expensive. We must cut the EPA's legs off. I hate to say that because it sounds rough, but they are choking this country to death with legislating through the bureaucracy in Washington. I mean, we have fought dust legislation. We have fought water. You name it, it is something every day from the Environmental Protection Agency. And every group I talk to is the same message. Please stop them. Please stop them. Please, I have probably 20 meetings a day when I'm in Washington. And everybody comes in and they will say, Congressman, we know we're broke, but our program is so important. You can't cut it. And they have tears in their eyes. I mean, it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, you heard me talk about the money a few minutes ago. We ain't got it. And the way the government gets money is they take it from somebody else. We just don't print it. We take it from you. 2 things have to happen. got to deal with the debt faster than we've been dealing with it. But we've got to add certainty back to the private sector by giving long-term tax plan, simplifying the tax code, long-term regulatory code, by really giving you something you can focus on and count on for 10 years. Education, same thing with education. Giving our teachers some flexibility, certainty of what is going to happen and not change every other month. Now, I will say this, and I do not mean to hurt anybody's feelings if you're a Democrat, but the Democrat supporters, for the most part, in this district are not like Nancy Pelosi and Barney Frank in Washington. The president is a master, and again, some of the Republicans in the past have been doing this, but anything that creates division is what he's using to win. The Democrat co-sponsor of my bill is John Carney from Delaware. Somebody would have asked me a few months ago, I'll be working with a Democrat from Delaware. I said, no way. But he actually is pretty reasonable on business issues. Yesterday I had a guy stand up in Memphis that said, I can't believe Mitt Romney is going to be our nominee. We have to have somebody that's going to not only focus on the private sector and certainty, but also somebody that's going to man up and deal with the debt. And it's going to be painful. Make no bones. The Farm Bill, for the first time in the history of the Farm Bill, we're probably not going to have farm subsidies. Now, 15 years ago, if I would have said that in the farming community, I wouldn't have a head. They would have chopped it off. But even the farmers now realize that we all have to tighten our belts. He said exactly what I wouldn't have said another word today. The money is yours first. It never needs to leave here and start. It needs to stay here, where y'all can decide where the money's spent. Because when it goes to us, Mr. Pennington, that's my power, is giving you instructions on how to spend it. And that's wrong. Mayor?
But let me just make a point. He knows where. That's the question I asked you a while ago. Where did this money come from? It came from T-Dot. The money that you saw spin around the square, now you see it spin around the sidewalks. All that money came from T-Dot. So how can we reach over in those coffers, and we're grumbling about the highway, Interstate 40 is crumbling under our tires, and we're spending all this money, like he said, that we probably could do it out like we do at home. My kids can't wear a new pair of shoes every time they think they want it. So we can do it out. We can do it out on the state level and the federal level, and that's where our problem is. We've got a society, we think we need all this, we want all this, we got our wants ahead of our needs.
I think really what needs to be is a priority. If you spent the same money, or the same amount of money, would it be spent where it's being spent? Who sets a priority?
People in Washington don't have a clue about Dyer County. What is the saddest part of all of this is to some of my colleagues in Washington, this is all about power. It's all about power. Mr. Pennington, this is not rocket science. I mean, I promise you that Mayor Hill and Mayor Holden, if your tax dollars were staying here and not coming to me, and staying in your school systems here in Dyer County, Dyersburg, and you, see, I float around the district, and I see a lot of people, and it's sometimes hard for people to get their hands around my throat. But they can sometimes. They come to my house sometimes. But Mayor Hill and Mayor Holden, you're pretty accessible.